Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh Polly, it's for your sake alone. I left my dear old father, my country and my home. I left my dear old mother to weep and to mourn. I am a rebel soldier and far from my home. It's grape shot and musket and the cannon lumber loud. There's many a mangled body, the blanket for their shroud. There's many a mangled body left on the fields alone. I am a rebel soldier and far from my home.
Okay, thanks for joining me today in the broadcast. I'm your host, your co-host, actually, for this broadcast, James White, and I'm joined here. Let me get over to the screen here with the guests. I'm joined again by Dave vonKleist, Kelli Higgins, and Jason Q. Januszewski. We are here to bring you the up-to-date information that we have, the best of knowledge that we have, and we're delighted that you're joining us today here on the 22nd day of January 2021. It's good to see you all. Thanks so much for being here. Here, let me take the mute button off for you, Jason. Give me a quick second here. And then we'll have everybody come on and be welcomed appropriately. There we go, Jason. Go ahead and you can hit that button to turn your mute off. You good?
All good.
There we go. Excellent. All right, folks, thanks so much for being here today. It's good to have all of us together again. A lot has happened since we've been here last time, that's for sure. Anybody want to go around? Kelli, we'll start with you. You want to go with some opening comments here as before we kind of kick things off and kind of get down to the minutia of things?
Well, it's definitely been an emotional roller coaster for myself. We all go through those periods of time where we lose a little bit of control over ourselves and then find our direction again and get right back on track. And that's what I had to do to myself. But it did remind me of my conviction level of what I understand. So I'm glad I set myself straight with the roundabout way.
David, any comments on the what's been transpired here since we've been on the show last? I think 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah, it was 3 days ago. Of course, we were all in great anticipation of the inauguration, what was going to happen. Oh, what the heck! Sorry about that. Turn that off. Thank you. Perfect timing. I think I know who it was too. Anyway, yeah, we were all on the edge of our seats for the inauguration because there were all kinds of rumors going around that maybe that they had put up the fence around the Capitol building and they had all the barbed wire and they had thousands and tens of thousands of troops on hand to hold off the non-rioters. There was nobody there. So why were all those troops there? Why were the fences there? And by the way, why were the clamps that hold the fences together on the outside rather than on the inside? So there was a lot of speculation that maybe arrests were going to happen. But of course, that's all conspiracy theory and all that. But well, I'm sure we'll get into some of the reasons why it didn't go down like that. But I think the big question today is going to be, and that's the number one question everybody's asking these days, is have we all been psyoped? Is this all been a Russian psyop to be able to, create all of this fear and, take us down a rabbit trail into a dead end or something like that? So that's what we're going to be talking about. We've got a lot of evidence to look at today, don't we?
We do have a lot of evidence. Jason, any opening comments or thoughts? Of course, like Dave said, I think that we are all eagerly anticipating, the information, as we'll find out, the information that I had received about that and that we broadcast here on this show was accurate, but things changed there before they were actually able to, quote unquote, pull the trigger, if you will. That's what it appears anyway. That's the type of stuff that we're going to be bringing up today, amongst other things, as far as the Federal Registry and some of the White House or the Oval Office photos don't seem to jive with other photos, but we're going to get into all that. Jason, any opening comments here on the what's transpired over the last few days since we've been on the broadcast last?
All I can say is let's just go let's just roll forward with the evidence. We just prove it from there.
Yep.
Right on. Very good. Well, if you know, just to recap, we were on the broadcast here, and we had stated before that it was the impression, the information that I received, and I shared it with all the groups, and all of us, and we talked about it. The impression that I had was that there was going to be an immediate arrest after the swearing-in ceremony. Some things had happened subsequent to that delayed that. Now, what I'm going to do, if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to play this quick clip here from what's the name of this? Simon Parks, who from what I understand, is a solid person. From people that I know, people that know him, right 100% of the time, no, who is. But we're going to at least take a look at that and give you an idea of this sort of as a foundation, and then we're going to go ahead and open up and expand that. But let's play this video here by Simon Parks, and I think we can do that by clicking this here. There we go.
The night before the 20th. And what I said was that the only issues I had was some years ago, a connection with Israel had produced some small, low-yield nuclear devices, small enough to go into a briefcase, not a suitcase, but a briefcase. And they're sort of called a dirty bomb, the low yield and the dirty bomb. And the good guys had believed they'd all been accounted for. And I said to the coordinators on that meeting that just recently, within the last few hours, the issue had come up that maybe one of them was not accounted for. They'd believed that they'd got everything, they knew where it was, there wasn't an issue. The other problem we've always been concerned about was a nuclear charge on the East Coast. Lots of people, who are clairvoyant and other technologies have seen a timeline where perhaps the East Coast and the West Coast were inundated with water. And one of the fears from the good guys was that if a nuclear explosion went off, it could take a lot of the coastline away. But that wasn't really my main concern. We'd had maybe 2 years ago, maybe a bit longer, with the Russian or the Ukrainian submarine and an American submarine, if you can remember that, and that was an issue. But this was more about a small suitcase or briefcase type bomb that we would call a dirty bomb, with very dirty pollution. And it had just come to people's attention a matter of hours beforehand that they were not all accounted for. All right, so that's the subtopic I brought up. I've been up, obviously, as you would expect, 2 o'clock in AM British time, on the phone to certain people, and I got as much of them out of them as I could over an open line. They're not going to tell me what they're not prepared for others to hear, but I was quite persistent, and I did want some answers, and I got some answers, which I'm happy to share with you. There's nothing there that I can't share. They were okay to tell me over a telephone line, then I'm okay to tell you. All right, so the plan was to have around about 26,000 National Guard, which they did, have fencing around the whole thing, to put Marines into the underground tunnels that absolutely crisscross excuse me, that building and connect to other buildings. They'd seal that all off, and what was expected was literally to arrest the whole lot. They got them all in one place, and that's why they were going to do it. That's why they put 26,000 troops there. That's why they put the fencing.
Okay, let's stop that. Let's stop that there and go back here. Have you that is the news that's coming out there? We had talked about them arresting them, these criminals, immediately. And now the precursor to that, it sounds like, as he had stated, there may be a suitcase or a attaché case bomb, a dirty bomb that was going to be perhaps used as diversion or to kill people. Don't know, wasn't there. I'm just going by what he's saying here. Jason Q, you saw that video right there. What's your thoughts on that? Is your intel kind of matching that somewhat?
It does, but there's one thing that he said that that doesn't quite fit my narrative in it. It's when he mentioned the American sub. It wasn't an American sub that fired on Air Force One. It was an Israeli sub. It was actually Leviathan. we actually have the submarines and everything, and yeah, we pretty much figured this out. It took a lot of us and a lot of time and everything, but I think we pretty much have it nailed. And plus, a lot of the documents we found, it's pretty damning on their side. Now we can see why they were actually last in this.
How about that? How about that rumor of the dirty bomb or the suitcase bomb? Is that anything that you're familiar with at all?
Oh, I heard that there was going to be a bombing. Yes, and that's why they postponed the arrests.
Wow, Kelly.
Same. I heard there was a bomb scare somewhere. I can't remember where, which building.
Oh, let me turn your mic on.
One
Sorry.
of the tunnels underneath the Capitol building, and if that had gone off, it could have killed several thousand soldiers.
Yeah.
And that's not what Trump's all about, and our military's all about. So
They don't want any civilian casualties, and if he can spare us, he's going to.
So I want to say of course there was
ready.
As you know, there was probably there were people that were there. We have you shared after people weren't arrested. As we had stated on our show, it sounds like they were intended to be, but the plan got changed. I just want to say for myself, you folks can certainly speak for yourself, but it was never an intention to come on the program and mislead people or try to fool anybody or trick anybody. Listen, we come across with the best information that we have at the time, and for me, I give out with the most truth that I can find and that I believe, and sometimes things change, sometimes plans change. I just want people to know there was never any intention for that, and I'm sure you guys probably feel the same way, certainly. But sometimes that's the hardest thing that you can do is track the timing of anything. Of anything, it's the timing. That's always the hardest thing to, I think, pin down.
Well, something that I think we need to put into our pipe and smoke, if you will, is the idea that we are indeed in a cyber war, an information war. All right. And so it would be silly for us not to expect misinformation and bad intel to be spread from both sides. There are people, who want us all to be confused, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of us have been confused. I won't doubt that. But this is the whole process that we have to go through. This is why we're having these roundtable discussions. We are looking at all the different puzzle pieces, seeing if we can't get a big picture. And that's the only way you can do it, is you have to look at all the puzzle pieces. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. You got to accept some and reject others. And it's a process. But one of the things that I think we have to understand is that in order to be able to have that type of discernment, we can't reject any piece of information until it's thoroughly investigated. And what makes sense? And the big question right now, we started off, are we being played? Is this whole Q thing a bunch of horse manure? So my two-word question is, who benefits? So we can explore that a little bit.
So I'm going to pop up something here on the screen. We should all be able to see this here. And I want to ask if all of you have had any, actually that's not the one I want. I think I want that. Is any of this information that I'm going to be putting across here, has anyone heard any of these things? I haven't had time to even close to individually verify these. I see here where it says, of course, you can see it yourself, that Biden was denied a military plane to bring him to D.C.
That's
correct.
A fact.
Anybody
That's
got
fact.
that is a fact that we can verify.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Very
That's
good.
never happened before in our history.
Never.
All right. Why was the typical song for the arrival of POTUS not played for Biden during his inauguration? Do we have any verification of that?
Because he's not president.
Okay.
Muppet Show tonight.
Let's see here.
Beautiful.
Why wasn't Biden rendered a 21-gun salute as customary for an incoming president? Like Trump received the same day, January 20th. Now, that is true. Trump did receive, I saw him get a 21-gun salute. Does anybody have any verification as far as that about the Biden not being rendered a 21-gun salute? Does that ring?
I sure didn't see one.
No, he's firing blanks anyway.
Actually, I was watching the video of the men with the rifles, the military. Number one, there were no Marines. That's number one. Number two, there were only 20 rifles. There weren't 21. So during a 21 gun salute, who's missing? Either you would need 7 firing off 3,
Right.
or 21 firing off 1. That's it. There were only 20 rifles. I slowed it down, counted the people out and everything. There were only 20.
Interesting. I didn't see it. Didn't have a chance to count those. Good catch. All right, let's go here. Let's see. Why was Biden's inauguration streamed as live in Spain 10 hours before the scheduled time? And I think that comes from, I can't remember the name. Charlie Ward. I don't know if there's any other verification of that from any other source. Anybody know anything about that? I had heard that as well, but I didn't hear it from anybody but him. Not saying that it may be true, of course, but I like to get more than one source if we can on that.
I remember him talking about that, and that would have placed it at 1 a.m. Eastern time, and it would have been the middle of the night.
Right.
Okay, so how could that be? I don't know. I'm a little on the fence on that particular report. I need further explanation to be able to understand that.
Well, just another little thing on that, like the speech the day before that Trump did, we all know that was pre-recorded because it was showing live through Right Side Broadcasting, I believe, with a 3:11 timestamp Eastern Standard Time, and we're in Montana Mountain Standard Time, which was 2.
Right.
The time frames didn't add up.
Right, correct. I remember we pointed that out. We said, hey, wait a minute, it should be 5:11 or whatever it is instead of that. Okay, yeah, very good. All right. Why did Biden get sworn in after? Wait, here we go. Why did Biden remove his hand from the fake Bible before his oath was finished? Anybody see that? I didn't get a chance. I didn't watch the inauguration.
No, but I did see the upside down crosses.
Is that right? I've heard about that. I didn't see those. They were on. That's no kidding. Okay, that's not good.
Nope.
I also noticed that when Kamala Harris took her oath, she put her clutch bag over the
I noticed
over the Bible.
I did notice that.
There were 2 books as well, and one of the books, the one on top, the black one, was zipped up.
How about why did Biden get sworn in after Kamala, which is not constitutional? Didn't see that one. Yep. I did see why did military turn their back on Biden when he drove by them rather than face and salute. We did see that, right? We saw that. That looked like they were turning their back on him.
These are all facts, folks, by the way.
Why would they do that? Why would they do that if they respected him? I'm thinking, why doesn't Biden seem to have the military launch codes near him? You know, like the ones pictured near Trump in Florida. And I thought that was, you guys know that Trump flew with the military launch codes with him.
Yeah, they call it nuclear football.
The nuclear football. Now, if he still had those nuclear, I was thinking at the time, I'm going, wait a minute. If he's got the nuclear codes, then he's a civilian, quote unquote, after noon, after 12:01, right? He's a civilian. Civilians can't be in any nowhere near a contact, I wouldn't think, with the nuclear launch codes. So that didn't seem to. Then you got to do video of them bringing the secondary or the backup nuclear launch codes to Biden. What is that the real launch codes? I couldn't believe they would give them the real launch codes. Then they would hold the world hostage.
Yeah,
probably video game buttons.
In all honesty, the codes, because they mentioned earlier in Post 500 and the Q drops, and it mentions codes, command, action. The nuclear football. What if the codes weren't necessarily for? They mentioned non-nuclear. So what if the codes were actually for the presidential alert, and also for the remaining codes for a certain revaluation of currencies? Because he would have to have the codes. I mean, he's the head of the central bank in the United States.
He is indeed. You're right. He is the head of the Fed.
A lot of folks just don't grasp
he's the head of the Fed. I read that. I read that. Believe it or not, or somewhere would never print it on Yahoo News. Yahoo News would not. That's not something they would. But it was on Yahoo News that he was the he was the head of the Fed. He actually is essentially the Fed chief. So now this next one here, I did see news reports that confirmed, 2 of them as a matter of fact, why the Pentagon is blocking access for members of Biden's administration. And from what I understand, they're not allowing them to get recent information on transactions that were made, I think, in Saudi Arabia and maybe somewhere else as well. Yeah,
they're blocking Biden completely right now.
He can't enter the Pentagon.
Nope.
That doesn't seem, something seems odd about that. I mean, again, all we're trying to do here, folks, is trying to put together, some different data points. We all have our own different data points. You folks out there that are watching have your data points. Obviously, none of us probably know exactly, and we said that on the show, what's going to happen in the end is probably not like anything that we guess or formulate or game out. It's probably going to be completely different, and apparently it looks like it is. So,
a couple little things. There were also 17 gold fringe flags when Trump left on Air Force One Wednesday morning, and there were 17 executive orders that Biden supposedly signed. But if you go and check the Federal Register.gov, you don't see anything from Biden on there. And look at the pictures that the other news broadcasting have been putting out about pictures of him actually signing it. Now, either the ink is extremely faint or there's, controversy on this one, but a lot of these EOs that it looked like he was signing, they looked like blank sheets of paper.
So, no, I don't know as far as executive orders. I don't know the ones that are here for, the ones that you see here for Trump. It's about 3 days. It takes about 3 days from when they sign it to be published is what happens.
But there are already documents on there that are to be published on Monday. There are 19 presidential documents that are to be published on Monday, and not one of them are anything that was discussed about what Biden signed.
Is that right?
Check
it's something, and again, any one of these things by themselves, hey, something can be overlooked, or maybe, someone didn't check a box or fill some, but this is, repeatedly, you look at these data points and it makes you wonder. Now, this right here is this looks like it's from one of the boards. I don't really follow the boards. Jason, you probably do better than I do. But this is some of the speculation that's out there. Trump had to lose and be out of power so the military could take over. We talked also, Dave, you wanted to, I know, touch on this military handbook or something. Is that what you were talking about before? The law of war, or the law of war manual?
We're talking 11.3.
11.3, the end of global occupation and duration of GC obligations. I don't know what GC is. It's probably down here somewhere. So,
well, that's something that probably needs to be discussed a little bit further into the program, because that's not the 101.
Yeah, that's jumping right into the 400 or 500 level.
So there's been some.
Thank you for backing me up on that, Jason. It's a little deep side,
It is. It really is.
So there's been some question about the.
Oh, here we go.
about the surroundings. I just got an email from a buddy of mine who I sent him some stuff, and he's been doing some searching. He said he just sent proof it's not a stage set, but I haven't had a chance to look that over.
Okay, well, before you open that can of worms, James,
yeah.
I want to just jump in something. This is an analogy that I used in the first film that I made. We play word association, conspiracy, theory. Right. Okay, so let's define those two words. Conspiracy, defined, is when two or more people plan something in secret. Okay, that's a conspiracy.
Yep.
The other word is theory. What's a theory? It's an idea, a concept, a supposition. Here's an example. In theory, if you purchase a raffle ticket, you could win a prize. Now, as long as you don't purchase a raffle ticket, the win is theoretical. However, once you purchase one raffle ticket, it becomes a possibility. And the more raffle tickets you purchase, the more possible and eventually probable the win will become. Now, such is the case with a conspiracy theory. When you have no evidence to back up your concept, it's a theory. But once you have a piece of evidence, no matter how flimsy or circumstantial it may be, that theory becomes a possibility. And the more evidence that you gather, the more possible and eventually probable the conspiracy is. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some evidence and decide whether we are dealing with a conspiracy theory, or is there, in fact, a conspiracy? I just wanted to clarify that before we go down this particular rabbit hole.
Sure, very good. Very good. It's all good. It's all good.
I love that, Dave. Not gonna lie.
It works, doesn't it, Jason?
It does. It really does.
Okay, so I can't see. This is a little bit pixelated here, But this obviously represents not the real White House right here. As you can see, this is some sort of a stage set in some sort of a sound room or sound stage or something, obviously in who knows where. But this is not a real presidential office here. And notice the curtains.
Notice the wallpaper.
Notice the
Also, the
wallpaper.
pictures have changed.
Yeah, the pictures too.
On the right hand side, they have
These two.
Andrew Jackson, Benjamin Franklin, and the ones with President Trump and Andrew Jackson is right behind him, and with Biden, it's Benjamin Franklin.
Well, this photograph could be taken, at any movie stage where they're doing a movie and they have to have a scene with the White House, the Oval Office. So we can't really compare that picture we were just looking at to anything that we're seeing from the mainstream media with Biden in the Oval Office. However, you did bring up that point about the wallpaper. That's something that raises some very serious questions, because Biden's only been in there for 48 hours at this point. Okay.
Well, I got a message that apparently so you see the image of the wallpaper with Obama, and then you see the wallpaper with Trump, and then you see it with Biden, and it's different. Well, from what I'm understanding, then the wallpaper image of Trump was during the beginning of his term, and then he changed the wallpaper to the wallpaper color that you see with Biden behind.
Possibly.
So although it's not, it looks like if you consider the timing where the striped wallpaper was recent, then it does look very fishy. But if you take that you see the Obama wallpaper with stripes, then Trump came in and then he changed it to the one that you see Biden behind.
What I found even more intriguing was the picture, of course, of President Trump sitting at the desk in the Oval Office, and you look through the window behind him, and there's trees and greenery, et cetera, et cetera. However, when you look at the photograph that they have of I don't want to say President Biden, I'll just say Mr. Biden at this point. But if you look out the window, where did the trees and the bushes go? Besides, if they're not there, what are we looking at? Can you zoom in a little bit more on that?
It looks like a car parked out there is what it looks like to me.
Yeah. I saw another picture. There's a different picture that I saw. And it looked
car
like there were
over here,
military
too.
vehicles outside. So what's going on through that window?
They made a parking
They
lot.
don't even have a driveway behind the Oval Office. So where is this taken? It doesn't make much sense at all.
And again, folks, these are data points, right? These are data points. This is how investigations are done. Not that I'm a private investigator, or any of us, you guys may be, but you just take evidence and you try to put it out there and you try to make sense of it. Again, and I'll state right here plainly, do I know exactly what's going on and everything that's going to happen? Nope. I sure don't. Never claim to know exactly what's going to happen. All I know is something to me seems a little bit fishy. When you have one thing, like I said, you can just brush it off. Two things, okay, maybe, but you got multiple, like you said, David, multiple points over and over again. Pretty soon you're just going to have to go, you're going to have to just deny reality to continue to keep the same narrative.
Right. Well, that's why I made that point. We can look at one piece of information or evidence that makes us tilt our head and go, well, that's interesting. And then you look at another that challenges the official narrative and you go, well, wait a minute, that doesn't fit. And then you see another and another and another. And finally it dawns on you that, oh my gosh, well, maybe we're being handed some BS here, So that's why I encourage everybody to think outside of the box. It reminds me of a line of a song I wrote 20 years ago. If you label as unstable all the ones who disagree, you take away their right of speaking out and thinking free. If our founders were so labeled, then where would our country be? You wouldn't have your freedom or your precious liberty. Think outside the cage, folks.
That's good, Dave. And when the title of the video here today, "Are We Being Played?" I wasn't referring to if President Trump is playing us. I was referring to, is this whole thing with the Democrats and their imposter that they put in that they installed, are we being played by them? Let's go back here to.
Well, plus he removed all the military flags, and he put that bust of Chavez. I can't remember the other name that goes along with it, but
Cesar Chavez.
Yes.
Is that his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cesar Chavez, I think, was a boxer. Is it Chavez? Anyway.
Oh, no.
Okay, so this right here is Now, I don't know this. I haven't had a chance again to individuals. A lot of this stuff's just coming fast, folks, and I just found out here before I left. One Oval Office is available from Castle Rock Pictures, which built an extensive White House set, East and West Wing, on a Culver lot in L.A. for the 1990 film The American President. The Castle Rock Oval Office has since been used for Disney's Nixon and 20th Century Fox's Independence Day. This is apparently I'm assuming the Oval Office that was built by Castle Rock.
Castle Rock. Seems that Q has been mentioning Castle Rock.
Really right. That's it has mentioned Castle Rock, and you wonder. And here we are again. Here, reflections are important. Find the reflection inside the castle. Again, I don't, as I stated before, and I've stated on this show, and I not one of the Q guys that Jason, with a name like Jason Q. Jason, you probably are, but I don't decipher the Q post, and I cover it sometimes when I think it's newsworthy, but I don't pretend to know a lot with all this code and everything that's in there and all the comms and stuff. I don't know them very well as much as anybody else would. Jason, what's your thoughts on this Castle Rock? Could this Castle Rock be Castle Rock Pictures, perhaps? Is that something that has come across your radar before?
Well, when they mentioned about reflections, now picture like you're like standing behind a movie camera, correct? And the reflection looking back at yourself. The 77th Secretary of the Treasury, that's pretty much the answer, is who would be perfect for filming these movies, and who would have total access to any of these stage props, stage sets, everything. It would have to be Steve Mnuchin. I mean, he's the executive producer of some of the biggest blockbusters that they put out in the movie theaters.
Steve Mnuchin, the Secretary of Treasury, is a movie producer, is what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Wow, interesting. I didn't know.
Check out his IMDb. Some of the movies that he's done, it's simply disclosure.
Wow, I didn't know that he was. I didn't know he had done that. I didn't know that he had that kind of background. Kelly, did you know that about Steve Mnuchin?
Yes, I had seen the same thing Jason's referring to.
Well, here's what I was talking about before, where the wallpaper. So what I'm saying is, so this is Obama's wallpaper, and then this image right here was probably taken not long after this one, and then Trump changed it to here, from what I'm understanding. Because there are photos with Trump apparently out there sitting here at this desk with this same color wallpaper behind him. So, again,
I have seen a picture really familiar to that top one as well, where there is a big giant light in a reflection of the window, where you can definitely tell it's lighting coming back.
Right, and we're doing, folks, like we always want to do here, is you just want to get to whatever the truth is, right? Whatever the truth is, whatever. I mean, if it is the same wallpaper, then that's what we want to report. So let's go down here one more time to look at this very last one here. This is put out by Rudy Giuliani. The American people were at best virtual participants in today's inaugural. It was a purely staged media event for the elite. All other Americans were invited to watch from afar, very afar.
I heard some funny things about some of the YouTube videos. They were getting so many dislikes on the inauguration that they had removed it from being like an active scrolling video, but also that a lot of those YouTube had said was like spam, and so they took a lot of the dislikes off and moved them over to the likes, and they were playing with all the numbers just like they did the elections.
I saw that when it was first happening, and I saw how many likes were there? Was like 2,000, and how many dislikes? It was like 35,000. It was obscene. No wonder they had to take it down.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting reports here that Biden is putting out executive actions instead of executive orders. Have you guys heard anything about that? Of executive actions instead of executive orders?
If he's signing anything at all.
Yeah.
They should just give him a box of crayons. That's as easy as we can do this. Sign it in crayon. Go ahead, Joe.
Gosh. Oh, did you see when he was after the inauguration, he was going into the Capitol building, and apparently he was wearing an earpiece, and they were trying to make sure he has his instructions and goes through the protocols. And as he's just getting walked in there, obviously somebody had said, "Hey, salute the soldiers." And instead of saluting them, he
Marines.
just repeated, "I gotta salute the soldiers." You know,
Is that right? I didn't see that part.
He said, "Salute the Marines." when
salute
he's
the
walking through
Marines.
door.
Yeah, right.
It's like, oh no.
Okay.
Yeah,
very
and then
good.
they put him in the parking garage.
So this is where we find ourselves, folks. We're at a point where, and we've stated this I think on the show before. The hardest thing to do is to get truthful information and get down to what the truth is. Especially, as we pointed out, part of the information campaign is a disinformation campaign, and when you're putting out disinformation strategically, you're going to utilize whatever assets will allow you to do that. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened here specifically, but it's happening. It's happening, right? It's happening. They're putting out disinformation. And from what we're understanding, there was supposed to be arrests on the 20th, which, can you guys just imagine that? How that would have been? I mean, that would have been the most epic ending of any movie I've ever seen before, wouldn't it? If they just would have arrested all those people there on the 20th.
I imagine it could be better.
Well,
I mean, that was a great pipe dream. We all had it.
Yeah,
it's the only reason I watched.
We were all told, that what was going to happen was going to, and I quote, shock the world, live television. And if that had happened, that sure as heck would have shocked the entire world. There's no doubt about that.
But I have to agree, we are all trying to process as much data and put all these different points together ourselves and also get it out to everybody. But you still have to use your own discernment. You have your own free will to make the choice of what you're going to take as a factual statement and run with it. And then when it doesn't happen, blame the person you heard it from, or your choice of free will to, I took this information in, let's see what happens. Yes or no on whether I'm going to be emotionally connected to it. But the thing that is very upsetting that I have seen over the last 48 hours is a lot of people out there that some have taken the time and some haven't taken the time to really put all these different kinds of data points together, and getting upset with people like us because things didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. Well, our biggest fault as humans right now is setting expectations on timelines of events, and we can't do that. I can speculate how I want things to happen or what I think is possibly going to happen based upon the information I'm provided and can find, but we're doing it as a collective, as a whole. And to hear people like, and I'm going to throw it out there, to hear someone like Anomaly pretty much say that Trump threw us under the bus, I was pissed. Let's put that as an understatement.
Well, he's not the only one that's been doing that. A lot of them, Luke Rudowski from We Are Change, he's been going after Trump and say, you've all been thrown under the bus, and all of you Q-tards. I heard that one out there, the Q-tards. You guys fell for this psyop, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they're saying this whole Q thing was just a Russian psyop, and you all bought into it. Oh, no, wait a second. I want to throw something out there. Why? Why would the deep state or the Russians or anything like that go to all of this effort to create this mysterious clandestine Q? And which, by the way, was the first supervillain on Star Trek, The Next Generation, if you recall. That was the first episode. The bad guy, his name was Q. Anyway, aside from that, why would they go to the trouble of putting out all of this information, misinformation, exposing themselves as the pedivores, and all of the stuff that's come out about Q? Why would Hunter Biden's laptop, Anthony Weiner's laptop, all of this intel being dumped onto Q and awakening the entire world? I got to ask the question, who benefits from that? Why would they do that? It doesn't make sense. So I don't know. Jason, what's your take on that? How do you deal with these people that say, okay, you're a Q-tard? You Q-tard?
Well, it's cute when it comes from people that don't even haven't even filled up a notebook full of notes or information or knowledge. But the problem is that the people that have benefited from this are ink manufacturers, paper makers, printing companies, online online sites. Because for some reason, for being a Q-tard, we're pretty much locked and loaded with, running out of room, definitely. Just overnight alone, what we found was just astronomical. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If this is a psyop, bravo. Thank you very much for the psyop, for actually like opening our eyes and letting us like learn the truth about everything. So
Well,
thanks.
and that's the charge when people say, "Oh, you were just put to sleep by Q, and you just let." Well, that's the whole thing. See, that's what people don't understand. Q didn't put anybody to sleep, and what it did was it motivated people to start researching that would never have looked into some of these things before, ever.
Oh my God!
Right?
Yeah.
So Q, I mean, exactly Q. Like I've stated on numerous times, it doesn't really matter to me if Q's a psyop or not. If it's a psyop, they're the biggest idiots on the planet because what they've done is they've caused people that would have never searched before to start looking into things. So, as you said, if there's psyop, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Thanks so much for waking up, 90 million Americans when there was only about 10 million of us before. Thanks a lot for the additional troops. We needed them.
And
Well,
that's
and the
just
thing
in
is
America.
too, with this whole psyop, that it's the first thing they're going to do. They're going to just start to attack. If you notice, we don't. From our standpoint, we're like, we're arms. We're like, we were there too. We want everybody to learn the truth and everything, and just make sure that everybody knows that we were all lied to. And all we could do is just produce what we found, the documents that we found, the evidence we found, and then all you have to do is just sit there and just either you can accept it or you could just turn around and walk away. But 10 times out of 10, once you do realize what we have here, it's a gold mine.
My
And
pers-
and I don't see anybody getting put to sleep by Q because for some reason he doesn't let me sleep at all, or the quantum computer or anything like that. So you might as well get that out of your head too.
I kind of think that our conviction behind what we believe in and where we stand on this whole thing is being tested right now as well. A lot of people feel like they were let down because they didn't see what they wanted to see. Well, where are you going to stand after that? Do you still have the conviction that, Trump is doing the right thing? He's going to follow through with what he said he was going to do. I think people are just blinded by so much of the past misinformation of what it used to represent as something important, like the inauguration, had zero importance to me. I was pissed. I was angry, raging around my house. David saw it all.
Oh my God! You make a sailor blush.
I was just a little bit upset that day, but I allowed what I was watching to, and I know better, to emotionally affect me. Now, granted, it was also feminine issues that day that contributed to that whole thing. So really was a roller coaster. But after that, I also cried and prayed. But then I got my head right back in the game again. And it was like, no, where your conviction is. You're just watching this BS happen. And it's absolutely irrelevant. Why did you allow that to do it? But what it did is it tested me again. And it brought me right back to the point of where my conviction stands. And it's unwavering. And that's where you have to be right now. It is a choice. It is a free will choice. You either want to believe that communism, socialism, fascism, the whole Democratic Party, Joe Biden, and all this stuff is that we're a sinking ship, and that's where we're going, and that's where we're headed, and you're going to allow that and contribute it because you're going to tuck tail and not say anything and not still stand up for it, or you're a Trump-supporting patriot who understands we are going to a Republican or a constitutional republic, and we are taking our country back, and there is nothing less I will settle for. Well, I'm telling you, I'm over here. I'll give my life for it. I am not going back, and we are not falling into this fascist, globalist BS. And I'm better shut up now.
Well, I got a couple of, and just to address a couple of comments here. I think someone just said Q is a trap and Q was
Whatever.
Q's
a data point.
And my point is exactly what trap? A trap what? A trap to open up the eyes of 80 million people. How many worldwide? I mean, maybe over 100 million people worldwide are involved in this now and are doing research and digging into things that, again, folks. These things, like Dave mentioned before, Epstein, Weinstein, Epstein Island, Ghislaine Maxwell, NXIVM sex cult, all that stuff. They didn't want any of that stuff out. Do you think they want people to know what they do to these children and adrenochrome and all? Come on.
That's why they're attacking that movement, because they are actually fearful of how our numbers have amassed
Yes.
over this time frame and
Yes.
how much information is out there. They are more afraid of that coming out than anything. Well, along with the Nasara situation, of course, they don't want us to have our gold, but they are fearful of us being as strong as we are as a unit behind the conviction of the information that we know that they have done and having the proof of it. They fear that.
Yeah, they're super damage
And they
control.
better.
NBC News did a major hit piece on the QAnons and the Q followers, etc. They're extremists, they're right wingers, they're dangerous, they're this, they're that. They're scared to death. They're scared to death of that information. So again, to the people who post that, say, "Oh, it's a trap. Oh, it's a psyop. It's this and that." Again, who benefits? How would they benefit from creating a psyop
Look
and
how
putting
much-
this information? That doesn't make sense.
Look how harsh they were against Trump. Look how much they attacked him, and now they're doing the same thing with us. It's the
Yep.
same playbook. They're attacking those that they fear the most because
That's
of the
right.
exposure.
What would you say? What would you say, Jason, to the comments of, well, they kept saying trust the plan, trust the plan, trust the plan. They kept moving the goalpost, and I can tell you what my response to that is. That doesn't mean, even though they said trust the plan, it doesn't mean that people just sat down and said, okay, hey, no, don't worry about it. The plan's going to take care of everything. Hand me the chips. No, what they did was they researched. They looked. They went into the to the internet. And they said, how about all the time that people had when we were locked up with COVID? People had months and months sitting at home on their computer, and what were they doing? They were looking into stuff. They were researching. They were watching videos. They were digging, on Twitter, digging into Twitter feeds and going down rabbit holes. I don't see how, if they're trying. I mean, how are we fooled? How are we taken by what? Educating ourselves more and getting more knowledge collectively than we've ever had, probably. I just don't get it. What do you think, Jay?
Simple as this: set up a Zoom call. I mean, if you're that dedicated behind your conviction, set up an open Zoom call. I'm willing to go on there and we could debate it till the cows come home. I mean, my schedule is open. I mean, anybody that wants. I mean, I'm all about getting the information out there that everybody has amassed in the whole collective. That's what we have to do. So,
Yeah,
for those that want to say that's a psyop, and those that have negative things to say about President Trump, and he still is President Trump, by the way. Well, then you shouldn't be afraid of somebody like me. I mean, I'm just a little.
Well, we should set up a debate, man. I could produce it. We'll set up a
Please
debate.
do.
I mean, we can have 3 on our side, 3 on their side. I could be the moderator or whatever, and we could fit. I had 15 people, I think, on this at a time.
Yeah, I want to let the listeners know out there, if you see what Jason's sitting there, right behind him, that's not stacks of comic books and girly magazines. I got to tell you, he's got tons of documents behind him there.
Yeah, that's just. I actually cleaned that up. I mean, I get this whole side filled, that all filled. I mean, we have a lot more. We definitely topped 215. So.
Well, we've got a couple of calls that are in the queue. Do you guys want to take some calls in the queue? In the call queue. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, and also I want to.
There's no calls in the queue. That was a conspiracy.
Wish a happy anniversary to President Trump and Melania Trump. Today's their 16th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations. I didn't know that. Wow. What do you know?
One plus 67.
Congratulations. That's a long time these days. 16 months is a long time these days, for crying out loud. 16 years is great. Okay, so we're gonna open up the phone lines here. Here are the rules of the phone service here. You don't have to agree with any of us. No problem there. Just be respectful and don't be vulgar, and I think everything will be okay. We had a call, it dropped off, so we have one call here waiting for about a half an hour. Let's take this call. 661 area code. Caller, you're live on the air. Please state your first name and where you're calling from.
Hi, my name is Elaine.
Hi, Elaine.
And I'm calling from California.
Elaine from California. Thanks for calling, Elaine.
Yeah, I just wanted to... I sent a text to Kelly, but I don't know if she's seen it. On the day of the inauguration, there was a news article from Fox that, had recorded it. And in the header of the headline, it said, recorded 1 week ago. And then underneath that, it said streamed 30 minutes ago. So I thought, that's odd. So I saved it just for reference. I didn't think to take a screenshot. But I went back to it because I was going to send it to some people and show it, but they had removed the part that said recorded 1 week ago.
Oh, were you talking about the OAN thing?
That was weird.
Elaine, I just got your message, actually. Are you talking about the OAN article where they were talking about Biden being arrested, or are you talking about the other video I see here you sent?
Well, the first one, I don't know if I sent it first or second, but I was going to mention those two things. That one I just said, I thought it was Fox. The other one was OAN, where they said they screwed up and let the cat out of the bag that Biden was in federal custody.
Right.
So if you play that clip, you can hear it.
Absolutely.
So I just don't know, I'm like the rest of you, trying to discern, truth from not. So, I've been finding it pretty difficult these last few weeks to get the real truth.
Do you guys remember, that flashes back, and I've seen this numerous times. Do you remember seeing the Fox News when they posted that the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg? They posted that. I think briefly they posted it like in between a commercial or something. They took it down, but they still had posted it, and I think it was 2019 maybe when they originally she had passed. I mean, so does this, and not to mention, now, okay, let's also talk about this. Building 7. We all saw where they claimed Building 7 was collapsing, and here Building 7 is right over the shoulder of the reporter. You can see they got the report like an hour early where they called for Building 7 to collapse, and it's still standing. So
that was
these
James
things
Stanley
happen.
From the BBC. And
correct.
It was reported at the top of the hour on the BBC News at 5 o'clock Eastern time, but the building didn't collapse till 5:22. So
there you go. There's our 9/11, our resident 9/11 expert.
It was also on Fox 25 in Washington, D.C. They made the same mistake, by the way. They reported that Building 7 had collapsed, and they had a live feed from New York, and it was still standing there.
Caller, did you have anything else that you wanted to comment on?
No, I just wanted to bring up those two incidents that I've experienced this week. I thought they were pretty peculiar. Well, particularly the one where it actually said recorded 1 week ago.
But Elaine, I can tell you,
something to think about.
I really appreciate you keeping your eyes peeled, because those are all the little data points that we all collectively put together and discern where it really goes. So thank you. And thank you for sending it to me. Don't hesitate.
Welcome.
Thanks, Elaine. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate that.
Guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think that is, and I don't think it happens a lot, but there's no doubt that, I mean, there's human beings that are running these switchers and running this equipment. I've hit the wrong button here several times. I mean, maybe even during our show. That happens sometimes. So, hey, I mean, that, that immediately I think of when I see that type of stuff is it all like a big movie? Is all of it just one big production? And we're all, and as stated before, we got weaned off, we got injected with reality TV, the first part of this century, and then now we're actually involved in a real live reality show on a day-to-day basis. I just don't know. I don't know. What do you think, Kelly?
I think you should check that message I just sent you and play that OAN clip and just let everybody hear it. It's real short, but it's.
I'll tell you what. I'll set it up. Let's take another call, and while we're taking that call, I will get that clip and set it up for us. 973 area code. Whoa. Okay, call. You might have to turn your radio down. You are live on the air. Please state your first name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Michael Bacchioni. I actually was on Charlie Ward's show. I've been following Jason Q. And, my view on the whole Q thing, I mean, he has stated before, it's quantum, right? And in science, there's quantum physics. So when you're in that higher vibration, we affect everybody in ways that we don't even see. So it's really not Q. It's how we come to see it. And some people are going to see it as a psyop, and it's because of their own ignorance that they're going to see it that way. And other people, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but the way I've come to see it is that when we're in that high vibration, we see the world differently versus when we're in that low vibration. So I've come to see, like, I'm open to listening to everybody. And it's really opened up my world. And I'd absolutely be interested in joining your show and getting conversation with you guys. You guys are on the right path, in my view.
Wow,
Hey,
thanks so
thank
much.
you.
And
you.
that's an interesting perspective that he brings, and you've heard that before. Your world is sort of what you make it, right? Your reality is what you maybe think for it to be, and you've heard those type of things. I'm not, that's not my area of study or anything, but you've heard that before. So I think what the caller's saying is the way that you perceive Q is going to be based upon your own personal perspective on things and on the world. Is that accurate, caller? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, in my life, when I've been depressed, I'm going to see the world as, divided and, there's no hope. And I think to a certain extent, you have to experience that in your life. There has to be, I think this idea of that we have this tribal mentality. We attach ourselves to a person or an idea. But I support Trump. I think what he's doing it's awesome. And I still have my own ignorance to shed so I can see the bigger picture. But what would be the best president? And the best president wouldn't be interested in getting followers. He would actually be interested in making people the best version of themselves. He's not interested in being liked or disliked. He may use that to gain attention, right? And that's a piece that I think is really important, that he gets a huge following by becoming controversial. And in doing so, now he's actually playing another role, and now he's stepping down from an illusion, right? In the illusion that people are so concerned with following a person, but when we, the people, come together, that's really the idea that built this country, made it so beautiful. And as he had said in his first inauguration speech, it's not about which side of the government controls the people, or whether we, the people, come together, rise up vibrations, come together, we'll realize we're all one. That's how we win. And it's really that simple, but we're missing the obvious, in my view.
Well, caller, we appreciate that. I'll tell you one thing. Why don't you, if you have Jason, or I'll tell you, under the video, we should put all of our contact information. In fact, our emails under that video. But mine is at least under there. If you want to send me an email, I'll send it out to the folks, and we'd love to have you on as a guest at some time to talk about this more. And we certainly can explore that.
Absolutely.
We're gonna do whatever it takes, like we talked about before, whatever it is to get the information out to the most folks that we can in the best manner that we can get it out is what I think we're on board for. Thanks so much, caller. Appreciate that you calling in today. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Bye now. Yeah, God bless you. So there, I mean, what do you think about that, guys? I mean, it's in some ways, I mean, even personally, and you wake up and you're in a bad mood, and you have bad and negative energy, a lot of times you have a bad day. If you wake up and you're in a good mood and you put forward good and positive energy, you have a good day. Now, as far as any astrology or anything like that, it's like I said, it's not my area of study, but I can tell you just from a layman's terms, when I wake up and I have a positive attitude, I usually have a good day. And when I don't have a good day. I mean, I know that sounds pretty simple. David?
I call it a baditude.
A bad attitude, yeah.
You got a bad attitude. You wake up on the wrong side of the bed. You need to go back to bed.
I've always had that philosophy, words have power. What we think in our thoughts and what we say has resonance to it. And no false idols in this. No false idols. None. Not even daddy. Sorry. But, I love Trump and I know what he's doing, but I still don't idolize him. You can't do that with any of us. We are all just coming together as a collective consciousness and data points so that everybody can try and rise up. We're trying to rise the consciousness level of the entire world. What has changed, what I have witnessed change and transpire in the last 10 months has been phenomenal. Seeing millions and millions of people, I hate using the term wake up to it, but that's kind of what it is. We were all in this fog of misunderstanding, and now we just kind of like the veil's been lifted and we can see, and we can't see everything, but we can see a big part of it. And if you take enough time and diligence of going through all the different points, you can eventually see it from up here. And that's the ideal situation to get to, but it's very difficult. It's very hard to get there, and it's very time consuming, and it takes a toll on you, and you have to keep coming back and find your center and regroup and get back out there. But words have power.
Jason Q, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, he was spot on with everything. It's all about manifestation. You manifest your own death. You manifest your own destiny. Whatever you put your thought into action. I mean, we're way more powerful than we realize. It's all about just being on that positive side. It's all about having that vibration, that high vibration. Having, if you set out to have a good day, you're gonna have a good day. I mean, it's all it's all mental.
And that, oddly enough, what comes to mind when you say that, have you seen these guys that somehow get their body in tune where people can actually take them and punch them right in the throat as hard as they want, or come up and literally full blown kick them like right in the groin? I know that sounds graphic, and these guys just stand there like a fly landed on their collar. I mean, that is gotta be right. I mean, you just look at that. That's something that you can actually see. There's a mind. What they do is they use their mind to overcome that hurdle or whatever you want to call that. So that was brought to my mind, Jason, when you said that. We do have a lot more power than we even know, and it's been hidden from us. Right. That's the thing I think that scares them the most. Is us coming together like and having this conversation and having people tune in and having them hear us have this conversation, and they go out to their families and they have their conversation, and that's what kills them. That destroys them, is everybody talking and putting out knowledge and truth. And that's, I think, why they're trying to cut it. They're trying to cut the truth out so much.
Absolutely. Why do you think COVID came along?
Yeah.
Social distance, no bars, no
That's
church,
right.
no congregating at home, no parties, no Christmas, no birthdays, no nothing. They
No
don't
live
want
music.
us discussing things with each other. That's what they're trying to do.
They
is
don't
cut
want us
off.
together. That's a good point. We just had a caller drop off, but we have the phone lines are currently open. If you want to call in at 515-602-9732, 515-602-9732, and collectively, I would humbly submit to you that we can probably talk about a wide variety of topics depending upon which one of us you query. But let's try to stay, if we can, on the topic here about what's going on, and we're out there with the rest of you folks that are tuning in, that you're searching the web and you're doing you're watching videos and you're going to different social media sites that are still pertinent, and you're trying to find information and get to the truth just like we are. And we certainly would appreciate anybody that has like that sent you, Kelly, the person that I still can't get the video up. If you want to send it to me, try to send it to my email. I'll bring it up. I couldn't see it. But that's how we win, folks, is we all come together. And we are going to always get it right? Nope. We're not always going to get it right. And again, if we can figure it out, us four can figure it out, then the black hats can probably figure it out too, and that puts the white hats in a bad way. So, just keep that in mind as we move forward. Kelly, go ahead. We have another call that came in. Go ahead if you can send that to me when you got time, and then I'll throw that up here. 717 area code. Let's take this next phone call. Caller, you're live on the air. Please state your first name and where you're calling from.
Hey, this is Steve. I'm from Amish country, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Hey, Steve from Pennsylvania. Thanks for calling into the show today. We appreciate it.
Hey, first of all, I love everything you guys are doing. I wanted to ask Jason about Mr. Cho, the Secret Service. I know you posted something and circled the pin on his jacket the other day. Did you find anything more about that?
Can you hear him, Jason?
I'm trying to. Yeah, I can hear him. I'm trying to think about.
Because there was a gentleman that was standing behind Biden that was looked like he was Chinese, and he had a certain little symbol pin on it, and I saw it as well. A lot of times I keep.
Yeah, he circled it. The pin was circled, and it looks like this guy shadows Biden, if it's the same guy, and he's like no more than 6 or 7 feet from him, seemingly the whole time.
He's on
handler.
him.
Right behind him during the inauguration.
I'm wondering if he's. I'm wondering if he's one of the. If he's from the one of the dragon families.
Right. We got one of the. Yep. True.
Could be.
Okay, because they did a mainstream article about he was actually hand selected by Donald Trump, and he's actually in the Secret Service, like the number 2 guy. I was just curious,
The guy with the pin circled. The guy with the pin circled. You mean the guy with the pin circled on his lapel? That guy Was it signed by Trump?
His name is David Cho. His last name is Cho.
What do you know? So, okay, so let's flesh that out a little bit. Why would, and let's just go point and counterpoint. Why would Donald Trump, you say he's the second highest Secret Service guy? Why would he put a Secret Service guy, that high-level Secret Service guy, on Biden? And why would Biden even want that? Don't you think he'd want his own Secret Service guy? I mean, just trying to flesh things out here a little bit.
Well, what was the name of the security group? Checkmate was the name of the Secret Service group. They had a security team, and I swear the team was called the Checkmate team.
No, I think you're right. I think it was Checkmate.
And it was a special group of guys that were supposed to be watching over Biden during this whole inauguration process. I can't remember.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that, caller. That's an excellent data point right there. Can you send across that you said you saw that in an NBC article? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, that was in a mainstream article about who that guy was, because there were a lot of questions, and apparently he's actually Korean. He's from Korea, and they made a deal out of it. He's the first Korean to be in the Secret Service.
Now, where are you saying you got this from? Mainstream media?
Mainstream media. If you punch in Secret Service Cho,
but I'm just putting this out there.
You'll find some articles.
They like to tell us what they think they want us to know. Just always remember that. So you always got to double check.
Is that C-H-O? Cho? C-H-O?
Yeah, C-H-O.
Okay.
Jason. Then, I don't know if you guys have been following Mustang Medic. You know, I really think he was on to something when he got there with this video camera that early in the morning. And they seem to unload and dump. I wonder if the military is actually running the Capitol, and those are just the regular commuters going to work and doing the work behind the scenes. You know, that was the thought I had.
I think Jason has something to offer on that subject. So, hey, Jason, go for it. I see you chomping at the bit.
And actually, he's correct about that, because when they did the whole with the transfer of power, all he did was transfer it from President Trump over to the military. All they did, because now who's the head of the military inside of the District of Columbia? That would be General Michael Flynn. He's also retired at that, because then that's how he has a spot. But also the SS, it's actually the real SS is the Secret Service. It's actually under the Vatican. So when we took the Vatican out of this whole equation, and he put this David Cho, well, it's funny that C before D, that's one of the quotes. And, if you put Cho David, be C before D. Also, if he mentions he's Korean, there's actually a tidbit about that as well. Now, the photographer for the White House photos, his name's William Moon. Now, if you look at the New Yorker hotel, the hotel, the Tesla hotel in New York City, the people that own that, they're from it wasn't supposed to be a religion, but they ended up making it a religion. I guess it's the United, what is it? It's like a unified church type deal, but they didn't believe in any organized religion. What they believed in is that we're all from the same creator, and the Bible, it was actually not meant to be read, but meant to be decoded. And there was actually a man that he was from South Korea. His last name was Moon as well. And he actually made a book, that like a handbook, like how to decode the Bible. And they called them, they were called Moonies, which was, I found it to be kind of funny, because you got William Moon as a photographer. Well, they were called the Moonies. They actually owned the New Yorker Hotel in New York City, which is literally blocks away from Trump Tower. And when you realize the history behind that building, there's a lot that comes up, because that's the one that Nikola Tesla supposedly died in. But no, I mean, there's a lot underneath. It's like 70, 80 feet down below the New York hotel. And even when you look at it, it's symmetrical from every angle. It looks like a fuse that was just put right into New York City. So there's a lot to this. So I would not doubt that if President Trump did put him in there, that he made sure that he has a shadow.
Smart.
Do you want to? Do you have any other comments, caller, that you want to make?
I do have one other thing totally off the not. I come from a media or communications background, and I don't look at individual stories. I look at news cycles and what's being pushed, and I found it really interesting. Right before the inauguration and everything was taking place, and even right up until like around the 6th, they started pushing that news story about the Boston Marathon bomber. And I don't know if you saw that. It's like, how come after all these years, all of a sudden that story is being pushed again? And if you watch at the end of the story, he's upset about the way he's being treated in prison, and they keep taking his white hat. And at the end of the article, he looks dead in the camera and says, "My favorite hat's a white hat." And that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I've been trying to get a hold of some people who know stuff about this to see if there was anything there, if that was some sort of communication, or if was that a threat. It's just weird. Like after all these years, we got an election going on and all this controversy, and all of a sudden you bring up the Boston Marathon bombing, and you show, I forget his name. You know who I'm talking about, the young man. And he said his favorite hat's a white hat, looking dead at the camera.
Well, this to me, thanks, caller, for calling in. We appreciate the great points and everything calling in. We appreciate. Please call back again.
All right, love you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
You too.
Jason, what you got?
Thanks so much. Real quick, what I was going to say is what that brings up when caller talks about that is the trauma-based mind control that we spoke about before. That's one of their programs that they run on us, the trauma-based mind control. Now, if you remember the Boston bombing, the marathon bombing, there was a lot of trauma, a lot of it was a troubling event, and that could be something that was put out there as a precursor to sort of activate people with this more trauma-based mind control, because that's what the whole lockdown was and all the COVID and everything. It was all just one big
They love their fear
mind
porn.
control, trauma-based mind control operation, in my view. David, did you want to say something?
No, I was running. Jason, I thought, was chomping at the bit there for a minute.
Go ahead, Jay.
Well, a lot of people aren't going to like it. I believe the Boston Marathon bombing was a false flag. I don't think those two kids had anything to do with it. I believe it was all CIA/Mossad op.
I have seen some videos with those guys with the backpacks and the way that whole thing went down.
Racist
I watched
actors.
the special one time, and I mean, this was visible evidence. Those whole thing with the backpacks, like we talked about before, even the London 7/7 bombing in London, where they had the group on scene running all the same drills, everything. Folks, this is
Okay, so I'm going to throw something out there.
Go ahead.
There's one thing, and it was a while ago that I saw it because it related to the guy that had his knee on the neck of George Floyd.
Derek
Chauvin.
Yeah, and he is an actor, and there's pictures of him supposedly involved in that Boston bombing as well. Like he was one of 3. And I can't remember where, but I saw some correlation in there, and that's, of course, 9 months ago, so I'm going to be able to find it again.
So we've got some, one of the comments said that people's legs were blown off, and there are still soldiers that are amputees after the Boston bombing. That is what it came through. I don't know enough about that to know. I remember it, but I don't remember the specifics enough.
When we say false flag, even sometimes, just like with 911, there was some additional video things that were done in order to have the fear factor be even worse. But the building still went down and there were still people that died. We're not saying that the Boston bombing didn't happen and people weren't hurt. We're not saying that.
Right.
We're saying more so that these are like setup events. that are intentionally done to create a
You waited
narrative in
on-
the minds of men.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are confused about the term false flag. If you say, oh, well, such and such was a false flag, they seem to think that, oh, it didn't happen. It was all, it was all make pretend. No. False flags, people die in false flags. I mean, 3,000 people died on 9/11.
That's right.
If not more. I mean, that's the official number. I think there were even more people, but I'm not going to get into that. The bottom line here is that people do die in false flags. Okay, and if you want to lump them all together and say, okay, Boston Marathon, Sandy Hook, 9/11, 7/7, blah blah blah, if they were false flags, that doesn't mean that nobody died.
So they wanted to clarify amputees were used as victims. So I think that's what that was the follow up. And maybe I read the original. I only here's the thing. This is scrolling by here, and I catch parts of it. So apologize, listener. I think they were saying that the amputees were being used as victims.
Yeah.
I think they were agreeing with Jason on that. Let's go back and check the call queue and see what we got going on there.
They're called crisis actors.
They are indeed. And how many times have you seen? They've shown them on Craigslist usually where they have the ads for crisis actors. We need crisis actors this weekend in Portland. $20 an hour. I mean, these have been verified that they've been in there. No, I don't know if they're put on there as a joke or something that to ramp up the this side or the conservatives or whatever. Who knows? But they have put them in Craigslist. Do you comment on that, Jason? You think they're legit?
Oh yeah, those they're crisis actors, and these are. I mean, you could look at the same girl that was used at. She was used in what, the Sandy Hook?
Yeah.
Which also, once we dig into that, that's going to turn into a mess too. She was at also she was at Vegas, I believe, and then I mean, all these events. I mean, they all have one thing in common. They're all wagered on.
Well,
I mean,
sorry.
We have the patent for it as well. I mean, it's the Howard Lutnick's patent for they bet on it on real time outcomes. Now the thing is that that's what's on the servers. That's what's on Hillary's servers. That it's so damning, because once people realize that they've been executing people, school shootings, all of them, everything that they've been doing. It's a card game for them. It's the Illuminati card game. I mean, they're just playing their turn. They like cards. We like chess. One you need brains, one you don't.
I did a special here. I did a show, I don't know, a couple of years ago. We don't have to go down the whole Sandy Hook rabbit hole, but I had a photo of this guy that was, apparently he was part of the National Guard, and he was carrying his rifle improperly, by the way. And then the next day, the same guy was a bereaved parent who had lost their child on the day before, or 2 days before. The same guy that was there holding the gun as the militia, not militia, but the National Guard, was the guy that was the parent that had lost his child. Now, the second thing on that, and I'll let that go. Did you ever see the video of this guy, Robbie, whatever, where he comes out of the building, he's laughing and yucking it up, and he gets over the microphone. All of a sudden, he turns somber. My name's Robbie, and I mean, it was like a total con. A total con. This guy's laughing and joking, then walks up, I lost it. He's all gets into character. He gets into character, and he starts, did you see that, Kelly? Did you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've seen several of them.
Con. Yeah. A big con.
Yeah.
We got 2 more calls. Let's take these calls. Dave, did you want to comment on that?
No, go for the callers. Go ahead.
Okay, we have someone here in Montana. I know it because it's 406, and that's the only area code in Montana. That's true, folks. That's it. It's all you get.
So few of us.
Montana, you are on the line. Please state your first name.
Yes, hi, this is Mimi, and I'm from Columbia Falls. So,
hello, Mimi.
hey.
Right around the corner.
Hi, Mimi.
All right, Mimi. She's
I know who this is.
We're practically neighbors.
Mimi in Columbia Falls.
Hi,
I wonder if it's the
Jason.
same one.
Hi.
Hi, Mimi. How are you?
I'm well. So, I had to jump off earlier, but I jumped back on, and you guys were on to false flags. And of course, I think they all were, certainly, and people do die in them, and there are crisis actors, and it is to continue to traumatize us. If we're talking about the trauma-based mind control, it's a continual. They have to keep the trauma going. They have to keep the shock value of things happening going. And the CIA, of course, is going around creating all these ops, and that's what they do. And from all the wars as well, that they have been behind and instigated and created and set people up to do this so that they can do that old problem, reaction, solution thing.
That's right.
And Jason's absolutely right. They are betting on all of this. They're betting on whether we're going to get cancer or not. They're betting on everything. They're despots. They have so much money. They have nothing else to do to entertain themselves. And they're so evil to the core that this is very stimulating to create these events and screw with us. So I wanted to say all that because that's the topic that you guys were on. But earlier, before I had to drop off, I just wanted to say that my husband had just come home, and he had been driving in the car, and he was listening to one of the major news stations. I'm not sure which one it was. He doesn't even know. Could have been CNN, could have been Fox. And there was a fellow on there who had left America and was living in Australia. And I don't know if it was Tucker Carl, I don't know what show it was, but he was being interviewed by one of the people at the news station. And lo and behold, they were talking about Q. And he was saying that he has come to believe that Q is a psyop now because, typically falling in line with everything else that we've sort of been experiencing as a group of people that are followers of Q and in the truther movement. And so he was going on and on and on about how nothing that Q has said has come true. And and he was very despondent about the whole thing, and that's why he left, and he lives in Australia because he couldn't stand to live here anymore. But the point that I'm trying to make is how interesting it is that they are picking up on this, and they're really like promulgating this message across regarding Q being a psyop. I mean, they just can't let go of this. And they've been on this for a couple of months, but it's like building. And now our own people or the followers of Q, I'm not really a follower of Q because I don't really have that mindset that can decipher, but I leave that decoding to other people like Jason, and then I vicariously, take in what the drops are saying. But now our own group of followers, the truther movement, they're all falling apart at the seams, and they're all shrieking and saying, "Oh, it's a psyop. We've been had, and Q isn't." So I just thought that was interesting that it's so out there on the mainstream media right now, as well as our people, and it's like infectious,
Well, here's a quote from our own Steve Daines. This is from his Twitter here 2 days ago.
He heard from me on this one too.
I asked conservatives to join me in denouncing racist groups such as Proud Boys and clearly label QAnon ideology as false and dangerous. I urge my liberal friends to do the same for Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. I want to label QAnon ideology as false and
now
dangerous.
Proud Boys, QAnon, and Antifa are all grouped into the same thing?
That's right.
Right?
That's right. That's essentially what it is. You're correct.
Yeah. Well, you have to think about as well, the people that were... And it's not about being a Q follower. It's about reading, listening, and analyzing. And anybody that was pro for it, and then nobody got arrested on the 20th, and now they're completely against it. You're a shill in my mind. You weren't committed from the beginning if you have the ability to flip that fast, and that is not someone you should continue to listen to. And that's where they're showing their true colors. And that's the things you have to look for.
And the funny thing is that, so they'll point that out to you, but they'll totally be oblivious about the 745% voting turnout that they had in some of the counties in Michigan,
Right, exactly.
or all these other voting, all these. I mean, now in Marco
Rubio.
whatever county it is in Arizona, now they're opening up their computers. They're going to be like, oh, now we're going to start investigating, about, the voter fraud and everything. I'm like, well, now you want to do it?
Yeah.
What? Just so you got this. I mean, I don't even know what you call him anymore. I mean, he's puppet. I mean, it's almost like it's a build a Biden. You might as well just say we have a build a Biden thing, and instead of putting a heart in there, you just put it like just hot air. That's all.
Caller, did you have anything else you wanted to comment on?
No, I'll turn it back over to you guys, but enjoy the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling in.
Thank
you so much, Mimi.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Go
Okay,
Columbia.
bye now.
Go Columbia Falls. Go see Falls. Yeah, that's one of the great things about this. You want to call it a movement, and whether you're in a Q movement or not a Q movement, or identify yourself as liking Q or not liking Q, you should be in the movement for liberty and freedom. That there should be no ambiguity about that, because folks, they will, if they get the upper hand, they will take our country from us and leave this in a wasteland for our generations for 1,000 years. I mean, literally, we're in a battle for everything. Yeah. So step up, and all across the country. I mean, there's no place should be immune from the tyranny, because it's coming to you next. You may think, well, I'm living in a small town. It doesn't matter. They're coming after you too if you don't stand up now. That's my vote. Go ahead.
If there was ever a time for people to finally stand up for something,
right?
Now is the time, because it's all on the table. If the United States falls, the entire world will go under slavery. I mean, this has been the bastion of freedom for the entire world. This is why we are who we are. And if we allow this thing to fall, as a matter of fact, it reminds me, if you'll indulge me for a couple minutes here.
Of course.
I'd like to share with you, and it's funny how this works. I mean, I wrote all these songs 20, 25 years ago, and they've come back to haunt me. It's like a piece of political toilet paper stuck to my shoe. But I need to share a couple of verses here with you. This is from a song that I wrote. This is in 2000, when we had a caravan from coast to coast to present all the documentation into the fraud of the IRS. But that's not the point. Point is that the words here, it says, opinions expressed by our numbers that grow may tell you some things that you don't want to know. You can say that we're crazy, you can call us a name, but unless you do something, the result is the same. For unknown generations, we've been living a lie. While some struggled for truth, many others stood by. Is the spirit within you? Do you think that you'll try to look for the answers and ask your lawmakers why? So come on, America, join in the fight and resist their corruption with all of your might. You can hide in the darkness or stand in the light. No, your God won't be with you, so you do what is right. We continue to trust such a small group of men who have robbed us before, and they'll do it again. Yes, they worship the dollar, the silver, the gold, and they haven't a soul because it's already been sold. And they say that we're liable, and they say that we owe, and if we don't pay their tax off to jail, we will go. But we've checked out the laws, and we've studied their code, and when it's all understood, not a penny is owed. So come on, America, don't hesitate. We must all stand together before it's too late. So many before you are willing to die, and if you sit and do nothing, your children will cry. They created a villain, and they said he's the one who's destroying your freedom, and a war has begun. But the ones with the power legislate every day, passing laws that are taking your freedoms away. And to all those in uniform, please understand, we're not clenching our fists, we're extending our hand. You can ask any veteran, they'll tell you it's true that your Washington leaders don't care about you. If we're to be honest, if we're to be just, we must live by the motto, in God we will trust. You don't have to believe, and that is your choice. But opinions don't count if you don't raise your voice. So the time's finally come We must now take a stand and tell your brothers and sisters, help them all understand that your freedom's been stolen. The line's crossed in the sand. And if we turn from the wicked, he'll come heal our land. I just want to motivate you people. If you love your country, you'll join in the fight and stand up to corruption with all of your might. You can hide in the darkness or stand in the light. Yes, your God's truly with us because we're doing what's right.
Yep.
Bravo.
Absolutely. This is that time, where I don't know if anybody else out there could feel it, but like the last 48 hours, it was like down in the dumps. Mm-hmm. You could just feel we were rising from this high, peak that we were feeling, and it just, everybody got down in the dumps and brought it down, and it brought us all down. This is that time where we need to rise forward and be even stronger in our convictions and even louder in voicing the truth and putting it out there. This is where we are. You have to stand.
Someone wants to know the name of that tune, David, so they can look. Do you have it on YouTube?
Yes, I do. If you go to YouTube and just type in my name, Dave vonKleist, the name of the song is Come On America. And
come on.
All my music is out there for free. People are selling it. I have no idea who's doing that.
Yeah, that's me, Dave. That's me, Dave. I made a fortune off you, as a matter of fact.
No, Thanks. My stuff's all out there for free. Just enjoy it. I'm not in it for the money or the accolades or the praise or anything like that. There are too many people in it for those reasons.
So we're coming. Let's see if we have any calls here. We got about 30 minutes left. What do you think for? Let's see if we can see if there's any calls.
And just bringing up that point of real again about money. When you're out there and you're digging, there's a lot of people out there that it feels like are really putting out the truth, but then they're like, "Ooh, here's my PayPal, here's my Venmo, send me money." All that other stuff. You really gotta use some discernment with that. What is their reasoning behind what they're doing? Because they actually care about the truth and putting it out, or because they care about putting a buck in their pocket? And I'm not saying that a lot of people haven't sacrificed, their jobs and their time and everything, and committed wholeheartedly to this, but usually those people are like a donation. If you want to donate to help me because this is all that I do all the time, that's one thing, rather than to like begging for money and all these other things.
That reminds me, I got to go to a commercial.
Some discernment with those people because I see them all the time.
Just giving you a hard time. Sorry, Kelly. I thought
Go check out Dave's Stove Store.
That's why I left the 9/11 Truth Movement, because there were too many people in it for the wrong reasons. They wanted to sell their book or their video, or they wanted a plaque, or they wanted accolades, or they wanted power. And that's not what. If you're in it for those reasons, just get the heck out of the movement, because that's the wrong reason.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like we have Tulsa, Oklahoma, with us. The great state of Oklahoma. Tulsa, Oklahoma, you are live on the air. Please state your first name.
Oh, great. Now what did I do?
Hi. My name is BJ. I have a question for all of you.
Hi, VJ.
Has anybody heard of Anna Von Reitz, a.k.a. Anna Marie Raisensinger?
I have interviewed Anna Von Reitz on my program, I think 2 or 3 times. You can find those videos if you go to Northwest Liberty News YouTube channel. You can find the interviews I conducted with Anna. Yes. Speaking for me,
what
I don't
was
want to
your
speak
opinion?
for you. She has a lot of information out there. I mean, it's a voluminous amount.
Okay.
And some of the other people that I have on my show, Ron Gibson and others, a lot of the information that they put out jives with Anna Von Reitz's information. There's like I said, I can't give you. There's so much information she puts out. She writes. Just 2,000 pages. Yeah, just so it's practically impossible to keep track of it all. But I know a lot of the stuff that she says that I cross-reference with other people. She's spot on a lot of things. I don't pretend to know about the becoming an American national. I know sort of the process, but I don't pretend to know all about that. But that's kind of what I know from my understanding. You guys have any experience with Judge Anna?
Well, I think she was, what was it, I want to think I believe it's the not fraternal order, but it's the Reign of the Heavens Society. It's a society where, all these people are a part of it, and it's actually a really good society if you think about how it's all broke down. But I know she was in that, she was a part of that, and other than that, she put out some pretty good information. You know, I mean, of course, there's going to be haters out there because, you know, you're going to have that whole liberal mindset where, you know, the media is going to just bash her. But, you know, it's all about how you come back.
What's your thoughts? Did you want to comment on that? Are you a follower of Anna von Reitz?
Yes, I am. And I'm also a follower of Ron Gibson, and I would really love for you to interview both of them together.
Oh, yeah.
Because their stuff lines up so well, right along with the past to the present of, you know, the different constitutions and how these are government officials are doing dual citizenships in the wrong faction, like, you know, a dual citizenship with the United States and then one with Israel, where in fact they should be doing it with the corporation and then be an American citizen. And I would really enjoy listening to both of them talk to each other.
Well,
and the stuff that she has put out in this past week about, you know, the mRNA and how it coincides with the laws of the corporation, where it will change your genetic code, where it turns you into a product where they can own you. And I've heard Ron discuss some of this on somewhere else. It seems like to me that those two, we would get the best information out of those two.
Well, I know this is going to sound again like I'm giving shameless plugs, but I've probably interviewed Ron Gibson 25 times. If you go on Northwest Liberty
I've listened
News,
to all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Ron Gibson's top notch, great guy.
You got a groupie there, James.
I've interviewed them both, but I don't know about getting them both on at the same time. I don't know about if I can get them both on the same time.
Not a groupie. I'm trying to find the truth. I want to know.
That's what I'm talking about.
He was giving you a hard time.
I didn't mean that in the bad
That's all.
Thanks, caller, for calling in. Appreciate your kind words. I will see if I can get Ron Gibson and Anna von Reitz on at the same time. I don't know if I'll be able to pull that one off, but hey, it doesn't hurt to try, right? I can always ask. So let's see who we have here next. We have this area code here. Who do you have next on the line? Go ahead.
Before we get too far into the end of the show here, I wanted to go back real quick and pass this over to Jason because we mentioned 11.3 on the beginning of the broadcast. And I thought that some people might need to understand what that means when it comes to the legality, the legal avenues that our United States military must conform to in the circumstances that we see right now. So, I mean, I thought that was kind of an important thing to get back to.
Do you want to expound on that, Jason? I don't have the. Go ahead.
Well, actually, when you mentioned the timestamp on that video, and it was 11:3, or it was 3:11.
Yeah.
On the video, and when you mirror it, it's 11:3, and as we know, 11:3 start, 11:4 actionable. I mean, he started Nasara on election day. I mean, they put it into the whole 1776 committee, into the executive order on 11:2. Then you had 11:3, 11:4. And I mean, it's just the sheer trolling that this man has done. This man, his family, the whole group. It kind of makes me wonder that these people that degrade it and talk bad about it, if you're not up to the mental capacity of thinking like outside the box, having that higher order of thinking, because when he says August is going to be a hot month, and it says, HOT, it's capitalized, you always go for the acronyms, and it's a higher order of thinking. When you go into the higher order of thinking, you'll notice that there is when they say think Flynn, right? Well, when you think Flynn, well, what about Flynn thinking? Then you realize that there is actually a thought process called the Flynn effect. And it's all of these different thought processes that you can actually teach yourself to become unindoctrinated, to break away from this whole this hell system that they have us under. And honestly, it's one of the greatest things you could ever do.
I think
So,
I think what Dave was talking about was like the other military code 11.3 of how like once they had actually done, you know, their swearing in, that had instigated the military taking over for the martial law part. I think that's what he was talking about.
Right.
But
And
also
there's a
remember,
time statement.
when-
There's 30 days involved there.
when we did this, remember they had us take an oath on Twitter. Remember how they were having everybody take an oath? Yeah, we're actually a part of the military operation as well. It's under Godwin's law. When they say God wins, it's Godwin's law. It's all about memetics. That's why they said fire off the memes. It's all a military operation. So by them throwing us off of Twitter, throwing us off of Facebook, you've actually impeded in a military operation, and that is grounds for treason. So
yeah, that's great. I hope they use
Let
that.
that go to web, baby.
Well, yeah, that's indeed. Well, we got Fort Wayne, Indiana on the line here. Great, great folks in Indiana there. Fort Wayne, Fort Wayne, Indiana. You are live on the air. Please state your first name.
Hi, my name is Rick.
Hey, Rick. Thanks for calling.
Just I don't have a lot of people to talk to, so this could go anywhere. But anyway, I'm just a middle class factory worker, a guy trying to live his life. You know, working 8 to 12 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week, and just trying to live your life. And talking about this trauma factor to keep everybody into the matrix, whatever you want to call it. Well, earlier this year it backfired on me because, well, they kicked me out because my dad died, and then the virus popped up, and boy, it just started making me look into a bunch of different things, and just started seeing a bunch of things that aren't right.
That's the whole point. It's for us to be able to see those things.
I first started, I saw Charlie Ward, and I've seen a lot of different people. I'm looking at a bunch of people's videos, trying to get everybody's aspect to see, you know, to find my truth. But like I said, I just appreciate what you guys are doing. I just want middle class people to know, hey, there's more to life than just going to work and sorry about that, making money for the government and other things. You know, you're here to live your life, and you need to see what's important.
Well, Rick, while you're here with us, do you have a question that you want to throw out there, or did you just want to kind of make a comment and let people know how you're feeling?
Just a comment. It's just I'm keeping my mind open to everything. Like I said, I think we've been lied to for centuries, and I think the truth's going to come out, and things are going to be excellent.
Rick, I'm right there with you, man. Thanks so much for calling in. Appreciate you taking time to call in here to the show. We got a couple callers left. We'll put out the call line again, but I'm not sure how much time we'll have to get to everybody. But it's 515-602-9732, 515-602-9732. And we know this is Montana because of the area code. So Montana, thanks for calling in. Please state your first name.
James.
Your name is James. Thanks for calling, James.
Sorry about the noise here. I got kids. Hey, big follower here of Jason Q. Heard from him through Charlie Ward and Nick Vignami. And just want to let you guys know that I got a lot of other people I talk to around the world. A buddy of mine, Michael Becchioni from Jersey and whatnot too. We're here all looking for the truth and the high vibes. I followed you on the High Vibe, their YouTube channel as well. But my question today is, what do you think the Black Hats had something up against the White Hats, or do you think they went along with this to help awake more Americans with the situation we're sitting in with Biden?
And I'm assuming you mean about the surrounding the inauguration day you're talking about, right? That we're talking about the inauguration?
Yes. Yep.
My thought is that, from what I understand, there really was a threat, and that's why they had decided not to, because there could have been a potential large loss of life or some other calamity that would have befallen some innocent people, and that's why they wanted to Because basically they have everything, right? I mean, I believe that's absolutely true with everything we see that's come out. So they're really these people, they have everything on them. There's no real rush, I would think, to the fact where you have to harm innocent lives. So that's my perspective on it, that from what I understand, they really did back out a little bit on that. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Jason?
Yeah. Actually, what they did was perfectly ingenious, because what they proved was that the judicial system in America is broken, because Chief Justice Roberts, he did not fully give Biden the oath.
Right.
So once they did that, what that did was that flipped the tables. Now you have to go back to when Lindsey Graham and Judge Kay was having that back and forth about the whole military tribunals and when citizens are going to be in the military tribunal. Well, once they found that the highest court in the land is actually fractured as well, that just showed that everybody could be tried under, even civilians, underneath the military tribunal. That pretty much, that was exactly what they were looking for right there. And they got it. Now they're done.
So what you're saying is they're going to come and say, listen, the whole system's broken. The Congress is broken. The Supreme Court obviously is broken. We can't depend on any of the old system. We're going to have to move forward with military tribunals to put everything back straight again. Kind of what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
When you stop and look at it, the CIA, Gina Haspel had to resign after being disappeared for 7 weeks? Where the heck was she at all that time? Rendition flights, maybe? Maybe she spilled beans? I don't know. CIA's credibility down the hopper. FBI's credibility down the hopper. Department of Justice credibility down the hopper. Congress credibility down the hopper. The bottom line here is the entire government is indeed broken, and it's up to the military at this point to straighten it out.
Caller, Kelly, did you want to comment on that? Caller, we appreciate your call. Thanks so much. Kelly, did you want to comment on that?
No, I'm on board with all that.
Great. Caller, we appreciate you calling in. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no,
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, just wanted to put another word out there, too, to everybody else. Keep your vibes up. Don't let this negativity bring you down.
Right
listen to upbeat music, and just focus on yourself. Because that's where it starts.
That's right. Good, excellent advice. We've said this on the show before many times. The person that you need to really motivate is that person looking at you in the mirror. Don't wait for headquarters to call you. Trump's not going to ring you on the phone and say, "Hey, we need you to activate now." It's not going to happen. This should be your call. You should already be active. You should be in it. It's not too late, but you need to start now, in my view. David?
No, absolutely. We've all got to be reading from the same page with the same motivation, the same direction. And that's sort of what's happening right now. I'm glad to see it. People are getting motivated.
It's good stuff. Let's see who we got here. We got one more caller left on the line.
And just real quick, too,
go ahead,
a lot of people don't know, but and Jason hasn't said anything yet, so I'm just going to say it. Jason's account on Facebook was taken down today. So definitely make sure and go find him on YouTube, and Jason, you can tell the other places, but the war is on.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's too bad, Jason. That's too. You want to give out some maybe accounts or anything else you want to give out, or no?
As you can see, I'm completely heartbroken.
You're gonna be able to make it through the day.
I will honestly have time to finish this. I really, really, really will have time to finish this. It's like, thank you, White Hats, for taking that down.
It is what it is. All right, well, we've got Newark, New Jersey, out in the great state of New Jersey. Newark, thanks so much for calling here.
I'm a Canadian stuck in Jersey.
All right, our favorite kind of Jerseyans. Thanks for calling in today. Appreciate it. What's your first name, please?
Murphy sucks. But I was listening to you guys. I didn't think you'd have time to do this call. But we have the right to assemble. Hi, Jason Q. We love you.
Hi. Love you too.
Hey, the First Amendment, we have the right to assemble, even on social media. And I never do these call shows, by the way. Hi, Mike. We feel how you're feeling too.
Do we have a mic?
Hello?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's. Did you have a question, caller, that you wanted to shoot out here for us?
is there a way we can do a class action suit?
Is there a way we can do a class action suit? I think there already is. I don't know who initiated it, but I think there is. With Candace Owens, isn't Candace Owens going to do some sort of a suit or something? I heard, and maybe others. Do you guys know anything about that, about the class action suit?
Yeah, I know she's been working on that.
Anybody
Candace
else?
Owens, anyways.
There's going to be a lot of people on that. A lot of people. You know, we're basically going to own all those social media sites and then just flip them right around. I mean, they're taking down our accounts when we're not even saying anything. But yet, from their side, I mean, they're about as violent as it gets. And then if you even say anything about it, boom, you're already done for 30 days. It's like, well, it's just dumb,
They took my Twitter account right out. I mean, they took my Twitter account. They've already removed their second video that we did off YouTube. They removed our second video, and that's probably a good time to bring this up. If you go to Rumble and you check under Northwest Liberty News on Rumble, I do put all of these videos up there. I think I have them all up there, but that's a sort of an alternative site. And that may be a good thing we can do in one of our shows, is talk about some alternative websites and stuff, because there are many of them. I know that GitHub is one of them. I think I signed up for it. I don't think I've used it before. As I stated, MeWe. We know about Gab, Parler.
YouTube.
What's that, YouTube?
YouTube. It's at Utah Gun Exchange, UGE2.com.
I never heard of that. YouTube. Can you do like live videos or anything?
It's a YouTube.
Wow.
UGE. Yeah. The guy's a real patriot, and he owns that Utah Gun Exchange.
Wow, that's cool.
You can actually there's a lot of patriots on there as well. And they have like a big collective site where they we could put all our videos and everything's in one place.
A fantastic caller. I had you on hold there. Did that answer your question? Did you anything else you wanted to say?
Yes, seeing as Jason Q got deleted once again, I have like 16 accounts on Facebook too. Is there a way we can get in touch with him? Because I actually got a gift for him.
Email, right? You got your email, Jason?
Yeah, email. IronClimber76@yahoo.com.
IronClimber76.
IronClimber76.
Climber.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, if you guys remind me.
CLIMBER.
Yeah, I'll put our emails on.
Yeah.
76 at yahoo.com.
76 at Yahoo?
Yahoo.
Okay.
Yes. YAHOO.com.
Okay, I'm Angel Eyes Photog on Facebook, and I've tried to contact you many times, but it's all good. I'll send you an email, and yeah. Thank you for all of your hard work. We love you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, caller. We appreciate that.
We thank you.
And that is it's great. It's great to know that people are waking up. I mean, it's like I've never seen before. People are, they're reaching out to me and my wife and others there that are. You'd think that they would never ever be interested in this type of stuff, but they are. I mean, it really is a great awakening.
Yeah, it really is going to be an interesting year. I was drawing a mental picture here. I mean, picture yourself on a sandy beach, watching the waves crash in, and then the water recedes, and then it crashes in, and the water recedes, and it recedes, and it recedes, and it recedes, and the fish are flopping on the wet sand, and it recedes. That's 2020. Then you notice that the horizon seems to be rising. That's 2021. We're going to have it's going to be an interesting year, folks. Here it comes.
Well, we got one more call. We got time for one more call. Let's take one more call.
You like that,
here.
Jason?
Yeah.
We'll take one more call here for the day. Let's see here who we got calling from that. The area code looks familiar. Yeah, that's why, because it's Michigan. Okay, we have Muskegon in Michigan on the line. Muskegon, Michigan, thanks for calling in. You're live on the air. Please state your first name. Muskegon. Nope. So Muskegon hung up. So this is not Muskegon. Muskegon hung up and someone jumped in real quick in front of them, and that is Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Newcastle, you're on the line. Hello?
Hello.
Hey,
Yeah.
go right ahead. You're out. You're live on the air. Please state your first name.
We're running out of time, caller. You better speak up now. We got 4 minutes left to the show.
Okay.
Let's just do
Must have had something with the phone problems or whatever, but we'll close the phone lines here for the day. We do appreciate everyone that has called in, and that is, I think it's a positive thing for the show. You guys, I think callers are good. I think that, because they bring up topics sometimes that we probably weren't even talking about or wouldn't think about, but we get to talk about those sort of things with the callers. So I enjoy the callers, and I encourage you all to call in, when we do have open phone lines. How do you guys, are you used to doing calls, Jason? You're on a lot more shows than probably the rest of us.
Honestly, this is the first one that I've had like live callers, and I actually love it because then they, it's interactive because they always have questions and they can actually ask us and, interact with us. I actually love the whole setup.
Rather than just questions off of a feed.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We only got about 2 or 3 minutes left here. So let's if we can go around the room and we'll talk. Let's just give a closing comments. We're in some trying times right now. I mean, for some people it's a little harder to take than others. But regardless of who you are, there's a certain amount of stress, of course, because there's some sort of the unknown. No matter what the evidence that we get and the people that we talk to, and there's still no guarantee of any outcome. It's going to be some Hollywood ending, probably not. So anything, we'll go around the room if we want. Kelly, we'll start with you first. Anything that you want to say to the folks, like in closing, some words of encouragement or anything else that you want to say?
Please just remember to keep the fear of the unknown, the fear of despair, the fear of that things aren't going the way you want. Keep that out of your mind. Keep your vibration high. Keep love in your heart. Try and find your center. And just remember, God wins this battle.
That's right. Jason, Q, do you have anything in closing that you'd like to say to the folks to kind of give them some words of encouragement in these troubled times and these uncertain times? Certainly.
Kelly pretty much hit it on the head. Just keep the vibrations up. Don't worry about them, kicking us off of, all these little sites. I mean, we'll just come back and just do all these lives. We'll just double them up, triple them up. I don't care. We'll just keep on throwing right back at them.
Broadcast legend Dave vonKleist, I'll give you a final word here before I actually close the show. What would you like to say to the folks out there that are wondering what the heck's going on and kind of wondering which way to turn
I would say that we need to shun the concept of right versus left and conservative versus liberal and Republican versus Democrat and realize that we all have the same interests here. We all want to see all the technology that's been suppressed for a century released. We all want to see the new energy technology. We want to see the medical breakthroughs. We want to have the Tesla and the Rife and all of these things released. And we also want to see the world's wealth that has been basically plundered from every country on the planet for centuries. We want to see that wealth back into the hands of the people of the world, because we're talking about quadrillions of dollars. If they were released along with all the technology, we could retool and rebuild the entire world and feed everybody. Everything, I hate to sound utopian, but this is like the Venus Project. Everything would be free. There would be no need. So open your minds, open your hearts, shun the division that's being pushed upon us by the networks and the government and all this other stuff. Open your hearts, and like everybody else is saying, keep your vibrations high. There's a lot to look forward to if we can just get away from the division.
That's right. Don't be fearful, folks. I'll mirror sort of what they were saying. Just don't live in fear. We brought this up the other day. The Bible says 365 times, fear not. That's one for each day. So that means each day we need to go forward without fear.
90 seconds.
Thank you, sweetheart. We appreciate that. We only have because fear brings us all down. Well, folks, we're coming at the end of the show, as you can hear. If you want to support this program, you can go to criticaldisclosure.com, or you can go to northwestlibertynews.com. We certainly do appreciate all the folks tuning into the show and calling in. And I want to thank my co-hosts, Dave vonKleist, Kelli Higgins, and Jason Q. Today, I am your other
60
co-host.
seconds.
I'm your other co-host, James White, and I appreciate you looking in. Until next time, for all my guests, this is James White from Critical Disclosure Radio. saying bye now.
Ten seconds.